Yo, I'm Remy. Thanks for coming back. High time we talked about what's been going on with the back half of the season. Haven't intentionally meant to be cryptic or evasive about it. It was just a tough pill to swallow, so I needed a little time to digest and come to terms with some of my own realities. If you've been following along, you know, 70.3 Eagleman didn't go exactly as I had hoped for, and I alluded to then that my shoulder had come out of place during that swim, and I'd kind of normalized that. It's actually happened a number of times. So thankfully, Cohasset Tri went off without a hitch. That was great. But then I came back for Boston Tri, and lo and behold, it came out again. I was in the ocean, floating around for a little bit. Thankfully, this was a race scenario. The marshals were able to come scoop me out. Once I got to the med tent, I put it back in, demonstrated that like, no, this is good, this is good. Went back out there again and kept on racing. Probably ill-advised. They were all telling me, you should probably see an ortho about this. You should probably get it checked out. This isn't supposed to happen. So finally getting it checked out, and it turns out this was so much worse than I could have possibly imagined. And today we're going to take a little time and talk about exactly where I am, what's been going on, and what needs to happen in order for me to move forward. Let's check it out.
What it do?
Spoiler. Turns out it is not normal for anyone's shoulder to come out of place that many times in that time span, or at all for that matter. And, I had just been kind of living with it. What I thought was kind of normal is actually a major problem. And the instability and it slipping out of place is not only painful, but it's, dangerous if you're going to continue swimming open water. So clearly we're going to have to get this resolved. So let's take a step back. What the heck happened? Shortest version I can tell you. Many moons ago, had a football injury, popped the shoulder out of place, and I'm like 16, 17, didn't think much of it, didn't think my future was going to be anywhere near athletics, didn't think I was going to play college ball or anything like that. So we're good. I don't need any kind of surgery, whatever. How old am I? 17. Dang. Fast forward like 20 years, and yeah, it's starting to become a problem. Not so much as I was running, but in other sports, right? So kayaking, I'd feel it. In the gym, I'd feel it while doing pull-ups, overhead activities. And I'd say about once a year, it would come out of place. And really, that's more than it should. But again, I just totally lived with it, right? Like, oh, it's fine. Throw it back in and it's all good. But add swimming to the menu and it starts coming out a little bit more frequently. One time it happened while I was in the pool. I thought that was the day I was going to die, legit. I had no idea that I could continue to swim with one arm and manage to get it back in place while in the water. But I did, and then it was fine. So I just kept on living with it. Now, the more I swim, the more it's coming out of place. Like I said, it came out at Ironman, and dang, I'm not gonna say that's the only reason. Obviously, I should have probably been a little bit more aggressive. At the same time, I knew being more aggressive would have probably led to it coming out again. So, I don't know. And then other instances, right? Like the 2 days before the Boston Tri, we're having a training swim, just going nice and easy, and it comes out. And it really, really hurt that time. It like really, really hurt. Upset though, I wasn't gonna back out of the race. And then, we get to that race day and it becomes a major problem. So turns out what had actually happened is not only has it been coming out of place, and if you're squeamish, if you don't do well with body dislocations and things like that, you should probably skip ahead. I'll put chapters in the timeline so you can jump to the next bit. Imagine with me, if you will, that you've got a door and, maybe you forgot the keys one day, whatever happened, maybe somebody was roughhousing. Instead of turning the knob, You push right through the door, knock it off the hinge. Ouch. But that's one time. You put the door back in, it's a little wobbly, okay, it's fine. But then it happens again, and then again, and again. Now, the hinges are getting loose, and they're a little rattly. Maybe the top hinge, the second hinge, it's kind of rattly. And then it happens one more time, and the wood is broken. And yeah, you can get it to close, but the structural integrity has definitely been compromised. That, in a nutshell, is my shoulder. As it's been coming out time after time after time, the socket that the bone sits into has actually, more than just tearing and stretching the labrum, the socket itself has been chipped to the point where, I'm not going to do this on camera, but to the point where, depending on the movements and how quickly or jarring it is, it's just going to slide out because there's nothing keeping it in place anymore. That's not good. So here's what we're gonna do to fix it. You know, some folks get the rotator cuff surgery, some folks just get a cleanup of the orthoscopic surgery. This is the Latarjet procedure, and what they're gonna do is snip off one part of my shoulder to saw that bone and then snip through a piece of muscle, drill that bone into the socket to create a larger base, and then use that tendon as a sling to double reinforce the shoulder so it has a higher chance of staying in place and less likely to come out of place ever again and be stable and strong moving forward. Okay, still with me? Great. For all the squeamish folks, sorry you had to hear that, but now we're back. What does that mean for me? Well, obviously the season's over. I haven't been riding my bike because just the act of putting pressure and the road vibrations and keeping the bike stable aggravates that whole area. Okay, I know I'm not supposed to be riding bikes. I know this. One last time though. One last one. How could you say no to this? I haven't been in the gym because I can't really lift much of anything. Obviously, I haven't been swimming. And pretty soon, once we have this done...
infection, we talked about. Hardware problems, we talked about. The rehab, we talked about. You're not going to be doing triathlons, realistically, I'd say 6 months. Minimum of 3 months. The swimming is going to be the issue. Can you run and bike sooner? Yes, but can you ocean swim in 3 months? No.
Okay.
So don't book anything in the Caribbean.
Okay. No, this is good news. Okay. So you think like next September, I can maybe think about
yeah, absolutely.
booking something?
A year from now, sure, absolutely. Maybe even sooner. Maybe next summer. I would just hope.
And then we start some pretty rigorous PT. The current timeline is in 3 months. I should probably be able to get back to normal activities, living your day-to-day life, going on walks and hikes, maybe recreationally riding a bicycle, some light jogging. In 6 months, all goes well, I can probably get back to actually training. That's the point where I should be able to have enough range of motion in the shoulder that I can get back into a pool, that I can try to do some pull-ups, some push-ups, some weight training, that I can vigorously ride my bike and not be too concerned about a time limit or aggravating anything. And in 9 months, I might be able to return to racing. That's a lot. It's gonna put me down for a little bit, but it is an opportunity to kind of refocus and get some fundamentals down and, kind of see where we're at. The purpose of all this anyway was to make athletics more approachable. And, sitting back thinking, well, if this is supposed to be the casual guy doing sports, why would you go through all of this just to get back to casual recreational sports. Quite frankly, this has kind of become a way of life. Without movement, without a regular release of endorphins and, sweat therapy, I'm just not right. Like, I'm not the same person. Let me know in the comments below if this rings true for you. If I go 2-3 days without getting out and working up a sweat, I'm not very pleasant to be around. So, no, I'm no Olympian. I'm not gonna be on anybody's podium yet, but I still need to get out there. And I fell in love with triathlon. I can't see myself not riding a bike, not running, not swimming, not being in a gym for as long as I am able to do those things. So if you're telling me there's a way for me to get back out there and do those things, sign me up, man. I'm here. The other thing, why I've kind of hummed and hawed about making this specific video, I am not here to dispense medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am not a physician. If you have had a similar injury or going through some things like that, please see a healthcare professional. I'm also finding there are not that many resources talking about this specific type of procedure from regular people. It's a lot of PTs talking about this and that, but not a lot of folks kind of share this part of their journey. So if this helps you with whatever you're going through, shed some light with, what kind of injuries and risks are involved or what the recovery timeline looks like, then I'll consider it a runaway success. Either way, that's where we're at. Hopefully everything goes super, super duper smoothly, and that timeline, despite it being real long, it's gonna really test the patience and really question, for me, how much do I actually love this sport? How much do I want to give back to it? And on top of that, how thankful am I for the people around me who are supporting me throughout this journey? Because seriously, there's no way I could have done any of this alone. So as we get ready to dive into this, my entire family, my wife, friends who are going to be supporting me, past me says thank you on behalf of future me, who is probably laid out on a recliner somewhere or propped up in bed and hopped up on pain meds. Thank you so much. And to you who's watched this far, appreciate you. I hope I can share some more insight as things come along. We'll see what I'm even capable of as we go through this. But for now, that's been all. Till next time, y'all. It's been real.